Welcome back, friends. I trust that you're having a beautiful morning. Today for breakfast, we're having biscuits and gravy. So biscuits and gravy are just one of those classic comfort breakfast foods. Haven't had it in a while, so I thought we'd make it for breakfast. I've been doing a lot of research on biscuits here recently, and I'll bring you an episode just on biscuits here shortly. But these biscuits are based off of a recipe from Sally's Bake, Sally McKinney. Super famous food blogger. Excellent recipes. These biscuits are really hard to touch. So let's start making them. Okay, so in this bowl I have some flour. It's like 313 grams. I've got 2 tablespoons of baking powder, baking soda. It'll be in the description. I always get them confused. And then a teaspoon of salt. Then I've got a whole stick of butter that I've cubed up, and then a little over a cup of buttermilk. So to get started, we're gonna pull this guy out. So this particular step is not 100% necessary. You can do it by hand. If you have a little pastry cutter, you can use that. This just works really well. She suggested in her recipe, so I'm just gonna follow that. We'll mix these in. I'm gonna pulse this a couple of times to mix together all the dried ingredients. So I'm gonna go in with this cubed butter. And we're gonna just pulse this until we get little pea-sized bits. Okay, so now I'm just gonna transfer this to the bowl that we measured it out in. Okay, so now I'm gonna make a little well, pour my buttermilk in. So for a sweetener in this particular recipe, it uses honey instead of sugar. So we're gonna go in with a couple tablespoons of honey. Thank you, Uncle Billy, for the honey, as always. Okay, now we're gonna mix. And we're just gonna mix this just until it comes together. Okay, that's great. So turn this out on your work surface. Okay, so it's kind of really important that you don't overmix biscuits. I like the little layers in it, so I'm just gonna do a classic layering technique. If you don't do this, these biscuits turn out super duper fluffy. That looks good. So let's just roll them out. I want thick biscuits, so I've got this parchment lined baking sheet here that we'll transfer the biscuits as soon as we cut them. So these first 4 biscuits are going to be the biscuits. Anytime that you re-roll biscuit dough, those biscuits are going to be not as good. So let me clean my biscuit mess up real quick, and then we'll get these in the oven. Okay, got the mess cleaned up, so now we're going to hit the top of these with just like a little butter. Okay, so these are going to go in the oven for 15-20 minutes, just until they're golden brown. I'm probably going to rotate them in halfway through, just because that's the way that my oven is. So here we go. So now I'm going to get set up for cooking our sausage gravy. Okay, we're all set up. Let's get this little stove going. I've got about a ½ pound of breakfast sausage. This comes from our local farmer. So with like I do with ground beef, I'm going to push this out into a pretty thin layer. So now I'm just going to go through and make these a little bit more manageable bites. I'm just going to continue to cook this just until it's done. You can really kind of dial in the size piece. If you like chunky meat in your gravy, you can go that way. If you like it super fine, be my guest. I'm kind of somewhere in between. Okay, that looks good to me. We've got some good browning on a lot of it. So I'm going to remove this from the pan. So I've got a couple of tablespoons of butter. We're just going to let that kind of melt. Okay, so now I'm going to go in. I've got about a 1/4 cup of flour. I'm just going to mix this all together. I'm going to let this flour cook for just a second. Check on these biscuits. They need to turn. This looks great. So I'm going to go in with a little over 2 cups of milk. This is whole milk. I meant to mix it in slowly. So don't do that at home. Mix it in a little bit at a time. Now I'm going to have to fight through getting clumps out. You just get too excited sometimes. We'll bump the heat up on this a little bit. And we're just going to cook this until it thickens up some. We should add some pepper. Love peppery gravies. With a little salt. Oh yeah. What I'm talking about, look at that. And go back in with our sausage. Gosh, that looks great. We got our gravy done. Biscuits are almost done. I'm gonna move this over the stove and wait on these biscuits and clean up a little bit, and then we'll have some breakfast. Look at these biscuits. Man, they just look so good. Let me get this little guy right here. And kind of look, that layering, boom. They just break right open. Beautiful. Get her some gravy. Yeah, buddy. We'll get one of these in biscuits as a backup biscuit. Okay, let's get a taste test of this. Oh my gosh. I've been wanting to try this with this biscuit recipe since I found it. Does not disappoint at all. So delicious. That pepperiness and the gravy is great. That sausage is great. Thank you, Milligan Farms. And man, I just can't ask for anything else. I will say I'm super hungry because it's mid-morning now. So I'm going to leave you with this. I'm going to finish up my breakfast. I want to say thank you for stopping by today. Remember to like and subscribe, and we'll catch you in the next one. Peace.
Cool.
Baby, you want some sausage and gravy?